Piece of paper, I left mine. Bring your money sheet. I'm going to do that, but I wanted to know that I did something I only gave him 50. Harry sent it to him.
Oh, he gave his numbers and whatever he wanted on there?
Oh, yeah, right.
No, put a bounce on.
You put Mike Belmont's number on. You put Mike Belmont's number on.
Oh, yeah. I put Mike Belmont's number on for you.
Oh,
Remember using the video books? Put Mike's number.
Brandon's hot in the other room. No satisfying.
With the forms? Good.
We didn't change your seat or anything. Your seat's still in the same spot.
Yeah, the oath is here, and I put this in big enough.
Like I say, the marching band thing is the one day I actually get I need to work. I might as well go. Use my little map. I only have one kid that likes to go on rides. I'm like getting too old to go on rides. What's the point of going? I mean, I can get pretty good French fries.
I'll choose extra.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived and passed, I call to order the special or the regular legislative meeting for the Woodland Hills School Board for the month of August 2018. Ms. Puel, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. David Graves?
Here.
Ms. Sharday Seligson?
Present.
Mr. Jeff Hanchett? Ms. Ava Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Ronna Curry?
Here.
Dr. Jeff Hildebrand?
Here.
Ms. Paige Strasbaugh? Mr. Mike Belmont?
Here.
Ms. Jamie Glasser?
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to accept the minutes from the July meeting?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions, discussions, corrections to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. The board met in executive session this evening prior to our meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and security matters. Announcements. Does anyone have announcements? Okay. Reminder that our back-to-school nights will be next week. Please check the website for information on those. In addition, I have an announcement related to the high school. On the first day of school, Monday the 27th, 7th graders, 8th graders, and 9th graders are to report. 10th, 11th, and 12th graders are to remain out of the building that day and not report to school. Their first day of class will be the 28th. That's just to give our 7th, 8th, and 9th graders an introduction to the building. And in addition, I want to announce that the board will hold a special meeting next Thursday at 5 p.m. Of note on the agenda is an absence tonight. The school resource officer contracts with Rankin and Churchill are not on the agenda, as many of you may have noticed. I realize that's an issue of concern for many of you here tonight. It is for the board as well, and we're working with Churchill and Rankin to finalize a proposed contract on that issue, but we'll consider those next week and not this evening. So, again, that'll be 5 o'clock on Thursday next week. So, okay. Anybody else have announcements of any kind? Okay. Moving on, we don't have student speakers this month, but we do have a presentation. Dr. Spihar joins us from Oasis Tutoring. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me today. So I'm here from the Oasis Intergenerational Tutoring Program, and I thank you for having me. Again, my name is John Spihar, and I'm the director for the program. Our program is a national program, and we're very proud of that, and Oasis has been offering support at schools for students for now 31 years. So the Oasis program is a program of Literacy Pittsburgh, formerly known as Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council, and back in 2012, when we were at Macy's, we formed a partnership with Literacy Pittsburgh. When Macy's closed, Literacy Pittsburgh gave us space in their downtown office so that we could continue to offer the support to our school districts locally. The special part of the partnership that we have is that we're able to support kids from kindergarten with literacy the whole way up to adults. So I want to share with you the goals that I have today and the reason that I came out for this presentation. So first, I want to share information about the program so that everyone can understand what Oasis is doing in the schools to help the students for extra support. I'm also looking to recruit new tutors. If there's anyone that is listening about the program, we're always looking for new tutors. And finally, to gain support from the community. I already have support, thankfully, from the school board. We have members from the school board that have been working with me to learn different logistics and ways that I can get out there and spread the word about the program. We're in Pittsburgh Public Schools. We have a lot of venues. We've got a lot of periodicals. We've got a lot of places that we can give lectures and all. Woodland Hills is a little bit smaller, so I'm always out there looking into your community, getting out into your community, going to events, learning from people. So I'm also here for that reason. Now nationally, we have 28 cities that hold have the Pittsburgh tutoring program with 890 schools, and we had last year 5,500 tutors. Now looking at Oasis in Woodland Hills School District, we're in Edgewood Primary K through 3, Wilkins for K through 3, and Woodland Hills Intermediate 4th grade. Our program works with students at kindergarten through 4th grade. So you see that we had tutors active in the school district. We had 32. Some of the tutors will work with more than one student, which is really great. So they get out there, they're working with a student for 30 to 45 minutes, and after they work with that student, they take another student on. So with 32 tutors, we offered one-on-one support to students, 47 students in the school district. We're very proud of that number, and we're working very hard to increase that this year. So what are the goals of the Oasis Tutoring Program? We look to build reading skills, confidence, and positive attitudes to learning in grades K through 4. We work to help children develop language, build vocabulary and background knowledge. One of the really big things that I hit on, I do the training. Director, I taught first grade, second grade, have my master's in educational leadership, so I have experience. And I find that a lot of kids that need that extra support, a lot of times they need help with self-confidence and self-esteem. So when I'm training the tutors, I actually teach them different ways to help the student bring out what they want to say. So if we're talking about a story and they're kind of backward and they're not real good with this yet, use a puppet. All different strategies that we have. So I make sure that in the training we implement different strategies that they can use to work with a child that might need help with self-esteem. We also offer meaningful volunteer opportunities for older adults. So it's very nice. We have older adults, 50 plus, that do our tutoring, and they come together with the other generation of our grades K through 4. So the two generations coming together works very nicely because our older adults can both be friends and mentors. So national impact, I wanted to give you some statistics so you could see how strong the program really is. And all the statistics that I share in the next two slides, I believe, come from our surveys that we do. This is national results here. So each year so far, we've had 90% of our teachers report improved academic performance. 20,000 children are tutored annually. And since 1989, OASIS tutors have helped more than 370,000 children get a better start in school. Participants, we have the OASIS tutors that are working with the school districts. We work directly with the school district. I'll talk a little bit about the curriculum. We want to make sure that we're aligned with what we're doing in your schools. So we're not just a program that's coming in and teaching a certain way. We do use a research-based program, but I make sure it's aligned. So we have the OASIS working with the school districts. Our volunteers are 50 plus, and we work with kids, as I said, grades K through 4. So the program components. This is year-long, but it's only during the school year. It's a one-on-one relationship. We use a research-based curriculum, and it's an experience-based approach. And in-depth they go through a 12-hour training. I do the training with them and teach them all the components. They also have ongoing support. So it's important to me that I don't send a tutor out. The tutor's working with the student and they're not getting anywhere. They've been taught to call me. So I might give them some new ideas, new strategies. I might go and observe them or model a lesson for them. So they're not just left to go out to a student and then that's it. So some results from 2017. The surveys were collected, 2,580 surveys were collected in 2017. We found that 100% of the principals felt that OASIS was a positive aspect in their schools, and 97% of the principals wanted to have the OASIS program back in their school the next year. Now we're looking at what the teachers had to say. Our teachers find that this is really great for their students in different ways. 96% say that they see the students who needed help with self-esteem, it has improved. 96% say there's an improved attitude toward language arts, 93% towards academic performance, and 90% improved participation in the classroom. And finally, the tutors are also surveyed. 100% of the tutors feel volunteering in the program has a positive element. 96 of the tutors plan to continue the program next year, and 99% perceived a better attitude towards school for the students. So all summer long I'm planning and I'm recruiting, and in about July, they get done in June, and about July their tutors are calling me. We have, throughout all of our districts, we have 148 tutors. And so I'm getting phone calls. When am I going back? What day am I going back? I want to work with this teacher. Can I follow this student? So they're very, very excited and motivated. So I was talking to you about the research-based curriculum, and I'll just go over it real quick. So it works like this. We talk with a student to put together a story. Then once we have that story, we work with that student's writing. Then we read the student's writing, we work with it, and then we do review. And then we finish off with reading to the child. And the reading to the child includes comprehension and all those great things. And we make sure that this is aligned with your Pennsylvania core standards that you have adopted here. Okay, so how to become an OASIS tutor? That's what we all want to know. 12 hours of training. It's 2 days. You'll learn the 6-part session plan that I just showed you. You have to complete clearances. You'll get to choose a school that you'd like to work in, and we'll set up a day and time that works for the teacher and the student to come in once a week for 30 to 45 minutes. And that's everything. Does anyone have any questions for me?
No.
Well, I thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you.
And we'll keep working moving forward. Yes?
For your program, since all the schools lack security, for lack of a better word of having a tutor, I think you should lower your entrance requirements as far as age, because of the demographic that's represented in the room for the people that care. Because there's not even people here to qualify to volunteer for this.
Right.
And, but just to, include security or maybe put that or implement that into your program to handle more of what's needed.
Right. Good thought.
And I feel like having one person, like you're the last line of defense if there is some type of, what is it called, mediation. So I think there should be a broader mediation thing to maybe people that have the same doctorate on your level as part of your panel. So you're not the only person to say, or last person to say, well, there's a problem or issue between tutors and their tutor.
You mean as far as offering support?
Well, you just said, they interact with the children, and if there's a problem and they don't know how to fix it, they come ask you, which makes you the only person to qualify. When every student, you couldn't possibly be the most understanding of. So
Okay.
just to include more people on your level.
No, I'm so glad that you brought that up.
But it's just, common.
No, you're exactly right. I'm so glad you brought that up. So at the office where we work, where all of our staff joins, we have other teachers that are on board. That I go to them and say, they're working on this, and I can't think of something right now. Do you have any ideas? Do you have any support materials or strategies? But thank you. We could always use more as well.
Right.
Yes.
Like me not being able to volunteer, but how much I feel I just feel like I still.
Right. Right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That moves us to registered speakers. Ms. Reed? Just a reminder, per usual, glad that you're here tonight. We welcome and invite comment. You have 2 minutes to speak. Please give your name and address and refrain from any personal attacks.
Darnika Reed, 134 Laniki Street, Wilkins Township. So I'm speaking on agenda item 13.3. And I want to start out by saying I find it unacceptable that there wasn't already a security plan in place. And I've spoken to this issue many times about the police being in schools. And my issue isn't my problem. The problem isn't just that they are police. It's just Churchill's hiring of the police. There have been multiple complaints filed against them for misconduct. Apparently, they don't have a good track record of reprimanding their officers. And as I have said in the past, it isn't just one problematic officer. And the officers do not have to listen to administrators and staff, and they may not have the courage to report them when they do commit an act of violence against children. Also, in Allegheny County, police are very rarely ever charged with misconduct, even when it results in death. The district has been negligent for years, along with Churchill Borough. My concern is that a child will be killed. I've said this before. And also, the district is funneling children into the criminal justice system when it's supposed to be keeping them safe. The police officers do not keep the children safe. One of the board members even stated that they are usually just standing around. They are also charging children with disorderly conduct. They are dangerous, irresponsible, and so taking them out of uniform is ridiculous and doesn't address the real problem at hand. There is no reason for teachers to be permitted to call police on students for offenses that should be addressed by school staff. And I really don't understand why they're calling them if they're already in the building. That in itself should have been addressed. There should also be some sort of list kept of teachers who are repeatedly calling the police on students. I'm not sure why that hasn't. I'm sure that hasn't happened yet, but it should. So I said all that to say the person you proposed to be the security officer or whatever, wasn't she an administrator when all this abuse was taking place? So I really don't think she's qualified for the job. I mean, you already know I'm going to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that'll move us on to board matters. The first item on the agenda is item 2.1, request to approve James P. Harris as the superintendent of schools for a term of 3 years at an initial annual salary of $150,000 per the attached agreement. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mr. Belmont. Any questions or discussion? Okay.
I wanted to say something.
Yeah, please.
Just that I think thank you to the board for all your long effort and work. I appreciate every last one of you, and I'm really excited for today.
Yeah.
So good job to everybody.
And I want to say thank you to Mr. Harris for your interest in joining us and working with us. We're looking forward to very positive things to come. I also want to thank everyone who participated in our process, both at the front end and more recently when we had meetings to introduce candidates to the public. I was very pleased with the participation that we had in those sessions and in that process, and I'm grateful to everyone who took the time for that. And to second Mrs. Seligson, the board put in a great deal of time. I'm really appreciative of that work, so thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. And we have with us from the Court of Common Pleas, senior, and she made me say that, Senior Judge Kathleen Mulligan to swear Mr. Harris in.
Where should I go?
In the middle is great. Just here in the middle.
Right in the middle. Okay. Let's raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, James D. Harris.
I, James D. Harris.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
The Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
And I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Guess you have to fill out. Okay, this is the 15th.
Would have to be in blue.
Usually. Yeah. You want to use this one? I need to sign up there too. Okay, right there. Okay, same places. Okay. Okay, signed, sealed, delivered.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Does he want to say a few words? Take a seat.
Okay. So that will move us on to curriculum. And just for everybody's edification, I'm going to read the tabs tonight because it's not Mr. Harris's agenda. So I'm going to read the tabs tonight, and we'll go on from there. Okay. Unless there's an objection to that. Okay. That moves us to curriculum. Item 3.1, request approval of the Woodland Hills School District pre-K counts, child care collaboration agreement with Heritage for Kids Early Learning Center, pending solicitor review and approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Johnson, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions on this?
I just want to congratulate everyone who worked to get these extra rooms in our district. We need them. If we can work towards universal pre-K, that would be great. I think those are discussions we're having, so this is a good start.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. That will move us on to personnel. Item 6.1, approval of the contract of services with PA Educator for the period of July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any questions on that one? Okay, seeing none, take the vote.
Jamie,
Sorry,
I just sent you a text on the table.
I got it.
Did you say, I just wanted you to know.
Yep, thank you. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.2, authorization for item 6.2, Section B, authorization for resignation retirement. Section C, authorization to hire professional staff. Section D, authorization to hire non-professional staff. Section E, authorization for transfers. Section F, authorization for EDR mentor actions. Section G, authorization for miscellaneous. I'm told that there is an incorrect resignation date. Let me check. B6 should read August 17th as opposed to the 10th. So if it's amenable to the board, we'll move the tab as amended to reflect that change. Is that satisfactory? Okay. Is there a motion for the tab as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions? We have to go into executive session for questions, I suppose, but seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to Section 9, Food Service, Transportation, and Safety. 9.1, request approval of the 2018-19 school bus driver list. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any questions on that list? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. 9.2, request approval for the 2018-19 school bus stops. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions on bus stops?
I had some comments.
Okay.
I had a couple of calls about some stops, one in Braddock in particular, that seems to be pretty active, and some of the neighbors feel that's dangerous. So I guess this would be a question for Mr. Gigliotti as far as how can we consider perhaps moving some of these stops. It's actually one here on Jones.
Which one is it?
Jones and Kirkpatrick is the particular one.
Did you text Siobhan? She's coming.
Okay.
I know there's a crossing guard at that stop. The other stop there is not that much, I know.
Is that one of the stops that would move because of the construction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Constructing the bridge probably.
Yeah, and that I guess the issue is the bridge has not been taken down.
It's not
been a
scheduled
couple
to be
years.
until March. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
Yeah, that
It's not scheduled to be worked on until March, but I mean, it's already moved the stop. If you want to keep moving them back and forth, I mean, that's the thing. You try to get continuity with everything so that, you know, they're not putting stress on the children or anything. But I know that it initially was moved because of the stop, because of the bus construction.
What's the second stop?
Siobhan, they're questioning the Jones and Kirkpatrick stop, if it could be moved.
We could consider moving it, but then you're making kids walk a lot farther to, a bus stop location. It's kind of a centralized bus stop for the area. I mean, we use Jones and Zuner, Jones and Kirkpatrick, Jones and Bell. The bus is coming all the way down the street. If we move the kids from Jones and Kirkpatrick, they're going to have to walk a few more blocks to another location. We can let them use Jones and Bell, which is right out here, but then that's putting them also where there's a lot more traffic with a lot of buses coming in and out of here because of the host program and all the employees coming in and out, all the parents picking up and dropping off students, here for the program. So, I mean, I would suggest that the other thing to do is to petition the municipality that we are in to provide, better overlook of the bus stops. I mean, we do have crossing guard out here, and there are, to my knowledge, cameras at that location, that are on the side of the one building. So I'm not sure how much more oversight that we can provide as a school district and a municipality.
Would it be possible to give the parents an option to use a different stop?
And we do.
Okay.
I mean, parents can call and say, go to, if it's on that route, to Jones and Bell. If that would be on the same route because it's right here. But there have been some requests for bus stops that are not on a route, that if we add them to the route, that will make the bus have to either go away, that will not allow that bus to get through its route in a timely fashion and get to the next school on time. Like a lot of the buses that are in the middle of our 3 routes, 3 routes in the morning, 3 routes in the afternoon. We do sometimes move locations according to that routing. But we do our best to accommodate people when we can. But we also cannot, that this is a main line, Jones. I mean, I can't have buses going on to the really small secondary or tertiary streets because the buses just cannot maneuver around some of these corners. If you drive through some of the areas, a bus just can't make a turn without taking out cars and, there's...
Okay. would it be possible for us to proactively approach parents who use that stop and say, if you would like to use a different stop, we can do that?
We could do that.
Okay. Is that...
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble following you in the
Okay.
sense of, if we move the stop from Jones and Kilpatrick to Jones and Bell, that's really only half a block. So when you're talking about centralizing where the students are walking from, you're talking about this corner to that corner.
Right.
Then we have Pat Transit who makes these turns locally. So I'm still trying to understand why our buses wouldn't be able to maneuver in if it's right there.
Some of the stops that people are asking me to do are not on Jones and Kirkpatrick and Bell and Hawkins. They're actually asking me to go up into neighborhoods that the buses just do not run on. But, I mean, we can. If we want to have all the students come to Jones and Bell, we can do that.
It's just that I don't think it's good for the kids just to sit on that corner waiting for a bus.
Right. Well, and we can, like I say, talk to the municipality about
I mean, I had a conversation with the municipality
crossing
about
guard.
it, and basically they said if we're not going to, if we can't find a solution, they may try to assist us with a car in the mornings. But it just seems like that half a block wouldn't be as big of an issue, and I can't promise the consistency of that car. You know, they might start it for the first month, and then it might fall off.
Right.
So I did talk to them about trying to get us some support there, and of course it's you do your thing, you let us do ours. So
we can test it out. It is a highly used stop. I can't tell you off the top of my head how many students are there at this moment, but I could say that overall throughout the day, we are probably talking upwards of 30, 40, 50 students. And so all of those students will be standing outside here next to our driveway.
Oh, just use
just
extra
putting
caution.
it out there.
Yeah, we'll be extra careful.
Okay. So we can do that if you want to direct me to move the Jones and Kirkpatrick stop here. We do have a daycare at Jones and Kirkpatrick that uses that stop. So I guess we would continue to use it for that because I don't think that they would send out personnel to come down to Jones and Bell to escort the kids back up to daycare. But we can do that.
It sounds like the best thing is to give the parents the option of which stop they want to use,
Yeah.
as opposed to eliminating one or
Right.
the other.
I think that makes sense, too. I don't know if that...
Yeah, let them choose.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's the direction we'll
So
go.
I should call every parent of the students at Jones and Kirkpatrick and ask them what stop they want to use? Is that what we're deciding?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's...
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. Any other questions on this? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 9.3. Request approval for extending the contract with the Yellow Cab Company of Pittsburgh, Incorporated, doing business as Z-Trip for the 2018-19 school year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on that?
Siobhan, could you explain to the group why we're doing this contract?
Z-Trip is used when we are unable to transport some students that are displaced. Mostly it's with displaced students. Sometimes it's special ed students to alternate programs. Like, for instance, last year we did use them to transport students to the AIU to work in the cafe down there. They were getting work experience, and it was just at times that we're not able to be covered by our regular contractors. And we also have a few homeless students, for instance, one in Mount Oliver that goes to Jefferson Hills, where we just do not have bus transportation. And so if our contractors are not able to accommodate that, our regular contractors, I do get a bid from Z-Trip, tell me how much it would cost us, and if it is at or below the same cost as our primary contractors, we use them. And did it very successfully last year, especially with that one Mount Oliver to Jefferson Hills.
Thank you for explaining that. That's part of why our transportation budget is $7 million, and we're trying to figure out how to contain costs, but we have responsibilities to a lot of kids. Thank you.
And if I might, so last week I'd asked how much it cost us last year to do this. I'm assuming I can share that number?
Yes.
All right, so last year it was $21,453 to use the yellow cab. So.
Any additional questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, take the vote. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. That'll move us to 9.4. Request approval for the purchase of a Fleet 2019 Ford Transit passenger wagon from CoStar's vendor Kenny Ross Ford at a cost of $35,700.80, budgeted from the general fund. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbaugh, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions or discussion?
This is the one that we budgeted for in the upcoming budget, correct? Yes. Okay.
Budget.
Siobhan, can you give a quick recap of what it's for?
This is going to be used in addition to the 2008 van that we have presently. Teachers and coaches and things request use of the van for times when it is more expeditious to use that to transport students to smaller groups, for instance, say the golf team, to their events, or we have life skills students that go to, say to Giant Eagle, things like that during the day. And when they are able to use that van to do that, instead of having to contract a field trip vehicle, we do that. So, for instance, last year I know we had in excess of 60 requests that we were able to use the van for, that if we had actually contracted field trip vans for, or field trip buses for, it would have been in excess of $10,000. And if we would have had a little bit larger vehicle like this one is, we actually could have accommodated more requests. And so it should pay for itself in a few years of not having to contract field trip vans, and plus just the convenience of being able to use that. Some of the teachers do use it for some extended trips, like to State College, or, for instance, the group, well, I think some of them were transported by parents, but that group that went to Harrisburg to get their awards, they had originally requested to use the van to transport all the students there. So it does get used for extended trips, and the FBLA uses it for their, like 3-day trip, that kind of thing, which would cost an excessive amount. I shouldn't say excessive, but it would cost a lot of money to contract a bus for 3 days.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Nicklow. That will move us to Buildings and Grounds. 10.1, request permission for the use of facilities by outside organizations for the 2018-19 school year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions on the outside use? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That'll move us to 10.2. Request approval for Wayne Schwogel Upholstery to reupholster Wilkins' main office furniture and the nurse's office furniture at a total cost of $3,960. This will come from Capital Reserve Fund 32. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on this? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That will move us to 10.3. Request approval of the repairs to the water main to the high school by Mealy Mechanical Plumbing Contractor at a cost of $32,011.21 from Capital Reserve Fund 32. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbaugh, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions on this?
Do we have more information about what exactly happened?
Mr. Finney?
Finney, do you have?
Yes, it's a ancient cast iron pipe that was 30 feet down underground, so it took a long time to dig it out, to find it, to locate it. And we replaced about 6 foot of the pipe. It was a long crack, about this long, so it's repaired. We had to remove the sidewalk as well, and then all the dirt, then reseed everything, and put everything back together.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That'll move us to 10.4. Request approval of Reynolds Construction LLC Amendment Number 1 to the Construction Manager AIA Agreement to modify the duration of the administration services to October 2019 at an additional cost of $67,000 pending solicitor review and approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Johnson, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions on that? Okay. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 10.5. Request approval for Shipley Brothers to camera explore the existing junior-senior high school sanitary and storm sewer systems at a cost of $1,475 per day, not to exceed 5 days, from the Capital Project Fund 39. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on this?
Yeah, can you give us a, because this wasn't on the agenda, I believe, last week, right?
No. We added it Monday because we've been waiting for the numbers to come in. Reynolds sent me the reports.
Okay, that was my next question, if this is part of the...
Yeah, so this is in preparation for the high school project. So we wanted to get down there and scope out sewers, see what needs to be done, if there's anything they need to address.
Mr. Finney, can you tell us what the goal of the camera work will be?
I'm sorry?
What will the goal be of the camera work?
Well, as old as the building and all the pipes, well, actually the pipes are older than the building. So as we discussed several months ago, that's the skeleton of the building. So the goal would be to replace all that while we're under construction, so we can run more sufficiently. So by them doing that, it's going to actually help us decipher where all the pipes are at, where they're going. We have a lot more leaks in the building. Our traps are leaking. We got like over 30 traps, maybe even more traps that have been leaking for years, and we can't fix them because it would just be a waste of our money at this time because where we're going out right now. So that doesn't help our boilers run sufficient either when we have broken traps and stuff of that nature. So all this is going to help out in the long run within the next 3 years.
Okay.
So do you anticipate them actually using all 5 days? So this would really be $7,000 to do this work.
It's hard to tell. We got they got to crawl in crawl spaces, and you know what's in the crawl spaces.
Yeah.
So tight, and it's small, it's dirty, and not, mentioning about the critters that are all in there. So it's not a easy job. So.
And so, I guess the other scope is, so is this like all the runoff in the parking lots, all the...
This is going to be our sewer drains around the whole school, all of our water lines, yes, everything.
But even like, drainage at the baseball field, drainage at the soccer field, is all that sort of stuff. This is just the footprint. Okay, this says the storm drain, the storm sewer. That's what I was wondering if it's.
Well, we have sewer issues. I mean, every time it rains, we get water backing up in our sewer drains.
Spectacular.
So this is the best thing for us.
Okay, no, I'm not. I mean, I was just curious what the scope is as far as.
Yes.
Okay. But it's the footprint. Okay.
Anything else? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to school finance. Request ratification of the bill list for invoices paid after the July 18th legislative meeting. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbaugh, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions on the ratification list? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote.
Is it yes?
Motion carries unanimously. 12.2, request approval of the August 2018 bill list. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on the bill list? Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously. 12.3, request approval of the July 2018 fund reports and student activity reports for informational purposes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions on the reports? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. 12.4, request approval of the investment reports for June 2018. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions on the investment reports? Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously. 12.5, request approval of the C.C. Mellor Memorial Library annual contribution of $11,000 from General Fund 10. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbaugh, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on that contribution?
Yeah, just historical purposes. How did it come to be this number, and what do we also give to the Braddock Library, right?
Correct.
Is it an equal amount?
Yes.
Okay. Didn't remember that.
Where does that number come from, Mr. Woodland?
I have no idea. It's been in place since before I got here.
Okay.
This is something that, it's gone back. I don't know if anyone can help me with it. No.
I will inquire with the library director about.
I'll
I mean, I'm just.
I'll inquire with the library
it's very nice of us, I guess, but.
Yeah. I don't know either. So. Okay.
Just a comment.
Before our time.
Library.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That will move us to section 13. 13.1, request ratification of the UPMC Sports Medicine, Athletic Training, and Physician Services 3-year agreement with a first-year cost of $23,000, budgeted from the general fund, pending solicitor review and approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously. 13.2, request ratification of the Reaching Back Consulting Services Agreement for the summer boot camp at a total cost of $2,500, budgeted from the general fund. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second? Okay. Seeing no second, the motion fails for want of a second, which will move us to 13.3. Request approval to appoint Leisha Lentz as School Safety and Security Coordinator per Act 44. Is there a motion? Okay, seeing none. The item fails. Okay. We have nothing under superintendent. Is there any old business? Any new business? Okay. We have no committee reports, but I will remind the group that the committees meet next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 21st and 22nd at 6 p.m. here at the administration building. In addition, I neglected to announce during the announcements portion that we will have Community Day on Saturday at the high school, on the high school campus from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Lunch will be served, I believe, from 11:30 till 1, and there will be lots of activities at that event, so please join us there. Anything else under reports? Anything? Okay. That brings us to public communication. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board this time? Yes. Hi. Again, a reminder, please give your name and address. You have 2 minutes to address the board. And while we welcome public comment, personal attacks are not permitted. Thank you very much.
Good evening and congratulations, Superintendent Harris.
Thank you.
I have some concerns and I would like to address them. My son now is going to re-enroll.
I'm sorry, could you give your name and address, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Lorena Amos Brock at 70 Churchill Road. So my concerns are, as they were before, is how is the school district going to academically, socially, and culturally unify all children coming from such different backgrounds and economic classes, neighborhoods, and races? And why is there security needed instead of corrective and restorative justice and practice? And what proof and criteria are going to be used to determine if a child has mastered a skill throughout the district leading up to the state exams? And if the district has a reputation of having the highest suspensions in the country, how is the atmosphere in the district, mostly white females, going to promote equity and sensitivity to African American students? And the schools seem to be punitive and combative, as some urban schools are apt to be. But what is being done to prevent the from school to prison pipeline or the criminalization of African American poor students? And what is being done to help increase the enrollment of African American students in the accelerated classes in the high schools? What is being done to make sure the curriculum and school activities are inclusive and culturally relevant? Where is the evidence that all communities, neighborhoods, cultures are represented, and their histories, their contributions, and plans for promoting futures for and that are included in the school environment activities and curriculum? And where are the African American teachers? And anyone in education knows that mixing a child from a neighborhood where there are fights every day with one from a peacefully safe neighborhood is like putting a lamb with a fox. If the administration chooses to ignore that dynamic, there's trouble already. That means the undercurrent of name-calling, favoritism, resentments, insecurities, and imbalances will be ignored until it escalates into a fight. Bam! Now you need security. Now children are treated like criminals, and some begin to act accordingly. Now you have divisions. And now you have those who can withdraw their children, or the leaders and teachers are only going to really teach those from the peacefully safe neighborhoods. Or those others who promise to act like those who come from the peacefully safe neighborhoods. Where are the high expectations for all students to have a code of conduct and to achieve to the fullest, showing their talents and gifts? Other than sports. All students should be on a path of excellence and not subjected to the whim and prejudices of teachers and staff. Every year I host exchange students. And because those students excel in their native schools, they are placed in accelerated classes in the high school. There are very few, if any, African American students in these classes. In these classes, the expectations between the students and their teachers are very high. Meanwhile, in the regular classes, the expectations, the discipline, effort, and care of both teacher and students are painfully low. Although most black students love music, the band is mostly non-black. The big divide is economic opportunity. Who can make private lessons accessible so that the children can learn to read music? All children have not only a right, but also a responsibility to learn. I'm afraid that negative attitude and low enthusiasm for learning is initiated in the lower grades. I think it's abominable that there are so few African American teachers in the high school. The only African American males are the security guards. Woodland Hills needs teachers and leaders who provide an atmosphere where teachers are so eager to show off their rooms, their students, and the great accomplishments and scholarship of all students. The character of the school should be charged with goodwill, community reflection, culturally responsive projects, and educational endeavors, excellence, and achievements. This convergence of conflicting backgrounds is such a delicate movement. You must carefully select teachers and leaders who are sensitive, tough, and balanced. Those who know what is at stake. Those who are experienced with pushing the bar for academics while making students responsible. I don't want any child to be sacrificed for an experiment. All of the parents and guardians of all the students provide resources in the form of taxes paid to the Woodland Hills School District. We must stop this systematic oppression of the poor and black students to be able to progress, to become productive contributors to society. The best program will not work if there is no charge for academic equity. A definitive cultural and social equity plan, and a leader who anticipates and is sensitive to all the state risks and hazards of such an ambitious endeavor of bringing such diverse groups together. You can't just single out to educate an elite group and forget the rest. All of the children in Woodland Hills School District should be valued, treasured, and nurtured to make a better world. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board?
Hi, my name is Crystal Knight. I live in 1618 Miriam Street, Swissville, 15218. I'm here to sort of push what I think one of you addressed earlier, that, a lot of folks are here to say that we want our children in our neighborhoods to not have to worry about having to deal with cops every day. We want to make sure that schools aren't fostering the prison pipeline. We know it's a continuation. We know it's based off of a lot of white supremacy and racism, and we're hoping that y'all will vote no against that. I also think it's kind of crazy that y'all haven't fired Officer Stephen Chawless at this point. I can't imagine what it's like going to school every day knowing someone like that is still around a student. I would be terrified. And I really think it's important that we stand firmly saying that we shouldn't be using cops to deal with disciplinary actions. That's something that y'all's administration should be dealing with, your teachers should be dealing with. You do not need to have cops coming in to punish children. That's just unacceptable. I recognize that y'all are not going to have that vote today. It will be, I think you said next Thursday, but I think a lot of folks are here because they don't want that to happen again. They don't want this to be renewed. And I hope that you put children first here in this situation. If you do care about children's safety, I think that means training your teachers, getting culturally competent classes for teachers, working with your youth that come from black, low-income families. It's unbelievable to me that you wouldn't be prioritizing some of your more vulnerable students. So we're hoping that you will not renew that contract, that you will fire this human being to not have them around your children. And I do thank you for doing this job, because I recognize it's not easy to have to volunteer for something like this, but this is what brings people out to these meetings, decisions like this. So I hope you vote no on that.
Thank you. I don't generally respond to comment, but I do want to clarify that Officer Chawless has not been in our building for some time. Just to clarify that point. So thank you. Good evening, Mr. Clanigan.
Good evening. Welcome back, all. Robert Clanigan, Braddock, Comrie Avenue. Just to touch on a little bit that's been said, once again, I throw the name Jane Elliott out there, who performed the Brown Eyes, Blue Eyes experiment with her fourth grade class a day after Martin Luther King died. And she has taken that training to adults across the world now. One of the critical factors in her brown-eyed, blue-eyed experiment causing brown-eyed students in her class, of which I believe they were all Caucasian, to feel superior over the blue-eyed. And the most powerful thing in that was teacher expectation. She turned things around from where they are, blue-eyed being superior in education, etc., and brown eyes not being so superior. Not to say they were all a blanket thing, but this is the essence of her experiment. It was her expectations that caused the children to, and what she set in her classroom that caused those children to feel opposite of what they were raised to feel. And again, in relation to what's been touched, this is what we need in our classroom. And I just want to emphasize how important teacher expectations are. Now, there are some barriers to deal with that in terms of students not valuing education, students not paying attention in class. But when you set the tone in the classroom, students adjust to environments. They can misbehave at home and behave in school. They can behave in school and misbehave at home. They can be good for one teacher, and the next teacher they're a holy terror. But there's expectations. So one of the ways of getting beyond those barriers, infuse African American history into the curriculum. Let them see themselves in a more positive light than what they even see in their neighborhoods. And we got over 70% African American student population, and too many of them do not know self. Too many of them don't have the support of home when it comes to encouraging them to value education. But when they can come to school and see themselves in a positive light, especially if it was in teacher positions and administrator position, but more importantly, even so, in the curriculum, and it's taught correctly, a lot of things would be diminished in terms of behavior. And it is critical to get that in the elementary on both ends. But we know there's studies out there, once again, that third graders, that state prisons across the country are being based on the accomplishments or lack of accomplishments in third and fourth graders. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to address the board? Good evening, Mr. Berry.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Louis Berry, 256 Fleet Street in Rankin. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Harris aboard. And second of all, I want to thank the board. Look how far we come in the year. And I just want to encourage everybody, since this is a new beginning, let's take that beginning one step further and eliminate armed officers from the school. That's all I have. The people that I talk to and the people that I represent overwhelmingly reject the idea of armed officers in the schools. So we're going to start fresh. Let's start all the way fresh. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nika Reed, 134 Laniki Street, Wilkins Township. I first want to start out by saying I thought it was pretty ironic that the judge who just swore Mr. Harris in, she actually presided over a case where the child was beaten and tased by Officer Shawless. That's the video where our former principal was holding the student down. She actually convicted that child of disorderly conduct for swearing. So yeah, another reason not to have those police in schools. Also, there's also a documented case which can easily be Googled, where that same officer, along with a behavioral specialist, had filed charges against the child, false charges against the child, after the behavioral specialist broke the child's wrist. The assistant district attorney looked at the video, dropped the charges on that child, but did nothing to the police officer and the behavioral specialist. As a matter of fact, the behavioral specialist still works in the district. So, again, we should not have them in the schools. They're being used as a tool to terrorize the students, and when there's misconduct, they are not being reprimanded. And again, I've seen, it would take me forever because I've actually seen other court documents of other police officers and their misconduct, and I know the state was also aware of it at some point, and they intervened. So, yeah, there's been a track record of like irresponsibility amongst adults, which is why, you know, this district is just not responsible enough to have police in it, and taking them out of uniform or trying to figure out some type of training, that's not what the problem is. The problem is misconduct. You're not going to out-train that. Them making homophobic or racial slurs, you're not going to train that out of them. Also, Mr. Clanigan comes in here all the time, and he says the same thing over and over again, and he's dismissed. I'm not sure if that's because, you know, previous board members have also ignored him, and you figure you just do the same. The man asked for the African American history to be infused into the curriculum from pre-K to 12th grade. He did not ask for an African American history class that's optional, because at some point, you know, someone came to him and said something about that. That's not what he's asking for. And I just feel like there should be some respect for him. He does take time out of his day to advocate for these families, and that should be considered at some point, because he wouldn't keep coming up here if it was actually, if he felt like he was being taken seriously. And also, that parent that came in, Miss McClung, you may not remember her name, but she's the one who had mentioned something about her daughter attempting suicide in the classroom, and everyone freaked out when she said that. My concern is, like, I actually reached out to a legislator who was not in our district, because he's working on legislation around that issue, children attempting suicide in the classroom. Did anyone, I wonder if anyone actually checked to see what that the protocol is when something like that happens? I'm pretty sure it didn't, but that's something that should be we should be concerned about. It just seems like, you know, there are serious things that are happening in this district, and it just seems like, you know, there's like this tone deafness with the board. And, you know, I even see it with the new board. Not all of you are that way, but I think you need to start listening. So, we know the police are causing problems. You have not fixed it. You can't fix it, right? You can't discipline officers. They're not going to listen to you anyway. They're not going to be convicted, more than likely. Just get them away from our kids. My son's about to be 18. I don't need him going to the county jail because someone wants to pick with my child or whatever, even though he's never been in trouble. I don't need to worry about that. And I don't think a parent should have to continuously come up here and say that they're afraid for their child to go to school because of your actions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miss Lundy. One of my addresses is 804 North Avenue, North Braddock. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a child and parent advocate. I've been advocating in the district for a while. Advocate for kids with learning disability, behavior problems. I have a big issue with police patrolling the school, especially when they haven't been trained with sensitivity training and diversity training, ethnicity training. I've witnessed on occasion at the school some of what has gone on with the security guard, one particular security guard, and the police officer. I had an encounter with Schultz before he left. With my grandson that I took out of Woodland Hills and put in West Mifflin, I went to court 5 times to get all of those charges that they had put against him done. They put it all the way down to disorderly conduct, 25 hours of community service. They had him for assault, which I know he didn't do. He didn't touch anyone, but it was the manner in which his body language was portrayed. So they charged him with 2 assaults. They charged him with intimidation. He had 6 charges on him. So that should have never happened. The video, I went for the video. The ex-principal, Murray, said that he didn't have the video, that Schultz had the video. I met with Schultz. Schultz said he had it. He said it was evidence. But he didn't come to court for 4 times. And for 4 times, I asked the judge for that video. She made him come the 5th time. The 5th time that he came, he said there was no video. He never said it. So when I let him know that I would take a lie detector test and submit all evidence to the public from that, they came back with drop it down to community service, disorderly conduct. So those are issues and those are problems that shouldn't even occur. And if my grandson didn't have someone such as I to have his back and to do what I did, what would have happened? He would have had a record. And when Schultz and I had a conversation and he didn't like how the conversation ended, he went and pulled a warrant. He put a warrant on my grandson from West Junior High. My grandson was a junior. West Junior High, 7th grade. The magistrate just laughed at it and threw it out. He said, what is this? Disorderly conduct because he cussed. Then they had another charge on him, disorderly conduct because he cussed. But I could pull records from his file that when he cussed, he was suspended. So I want to know where it went from suspension to going to court. And then you have to pay a fine. And you wonder why these parents are so upset about having police in the schools. If they're not trained properly to work with the kids, they shouldn't be there. And behavior specialists, do we have any? The behavior specialists also should be trained. I mean, we had how many? 9, 11. How many were certified? How many weren't certified in their positions, working in that positions? In that position as one, any kid that has an IEP that had an encounter with a behavior specialist doing a job that he wasn't certified with and violated that kid's rights, you guys have a case. So you have to be more careful about who you vote in, why you vote them in, and what they're going to do once you vote them in. And what your responsibility is to making sure that they do what is supposed to be done and not with just what they feel like they can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all. See you Thursday at 5.